Marcus stood frozen in
We
the
need to
doorway
find
of his
help.
daughter's bedroom,
The
his heart
radio's
hammering
broken,
against
but
his
we can't
ribs.
stay here.
The morning light streamed through the window, illuminating what he'd discovered while stripping the bed to do laundry, a small crimson stain on the white sheets. His hands trembled as reality crashed over him like a wave. Emma was only 17. His little girl. The one he'd raised alone since her mother walked out when she was 3. And now this moment had arrived, the one every single father dreads, the conversation he'd rehearsed 1,000 times in his mind but never felt prepared to have. The laundry basket slipped from his grip, clothes spilling across the hardwood floor. Marcus pressed his palms against his eyes, fighting back the emotion threatening to overwhelm him. He wasn't angry, he was terrified. Terrified that he'd failed her somehow, that his years of trying to be both mother and father hadn't been enough, that she'd needed guidance he couldn't provide. He heard her footsteps in the hallway, and when he looked up, Emma stood there in her oversized sleep shirt, her dark hair tangled from sleep, her eyes widening as she saw what he was holding. "Dad, she started, her voice small and frightened. Marcus held up his hand, his throat tight. "Emma, sweetheart, we need to talk. I'm not mad, I promise. I need to understand. Were you safe? Did someone hurt you?" The questions tumbled out, each one cracking his voice a little more. He'd worked double shifts at the factory for years to give her everything she needed, sacrificed dating and social life to be present for every school play and parent-teacher conference. But this was the one area where he'd always felt inadequate, unable to provide the mother-daughter wisdom she deserved. Emma's face crumpled, and tears began streaming down her cheeks. "Daddy, please, it's not what you think. Just let me explain." She moved to her nightstand with shaking hands and pulled out a folded piece of paper, holding it out to him. "Read this, please." Marcus took the paper, his hands still trembling as he unfolded it. It was a letter on official hospital letterhead, dated 2 days ago. As he read, the world seemed to tilt beneath his feet. "Dear Emma Rodriguez, thank you for your donation to the Children's Hospital Blood Drive. Your contribution of 1 pint of O-negative blood will help save the lives of pediatric patients in critical need. You indicated this was your first donation, and we want you to know that your selfless act of kindness may help up to 3 children. Asterisk. Marcus read the words again, then a third time, as understanding slowly penetrated his panic. He looked up at his daughter, who was now crying openly, wrapping her arms around herself. "The blood drive was at school on Tuesday," Emma said, her voice breaking. "They said O-negative is the universal donor type, the rarest one, and that they desperately needed it for kids with cancer and accident victims. I found out I'm O-negative when I did that ancestry kit for biology class, remember? And I kept thinking about those little kids, Dad. Kids younger than me who might die without enough blood." Marcus felt his knees weaken, and he sank onto the edge of Emma's bed, still clutching the letter. "You were scared," he whispered, looking at the small stain again with completely new eyes. "They told you there might be some spotting afterward." "I was terrified," Emma admitted, sitting beside him. "Not of the needle, well, okay, yes, of the needle too. But mainly I was scared you'd find out and be disappointed. I know you worry about me doing risky things ever since I wanted to try out for the hockey team. But Dad, this wasn't risky. There were nurses and doctors there, and they checked my iron levels and everything. I wanted to help. Those kids didn't choose to be sick. They just need someone to care enough to do something." Marcus pulled his daughter into his arms, holding her as tightly as he had when she was small enough to carry. His shoulders shook as the fear drained away, replaced by something so much bigger, a profound pride that made his chest ache. "Disappointed," he choked out. "Emma, I'm not disappointed. He pulled back to look at her face, cupping her cheek with his calloused hand. "You gave away something so precious, so pure, your first donation, your blood, part of yourself, to save children you've never even met. Do you understand how extraordinary that is?" Emma's tears fell faster. "I learned it from you, Dad. You've given up everything for me my whole life. Every time you worked overtime instead of going to Uncle Tom's barbecues, every time you ate less so I could have seconds, every time you wore your old coat another winter so I could have new school clothes. You taught me that love means sacrifice. You taught me that when you can help someone, you should." Marcus felt something break open inside his chest, 15 years of single-parent exhaustion and doubt and fear cracking apart to reveal this moment of perfect clarity. He'd spent so many nights wondering if he was enough for her, if one parent could possibly fill the space meant for two. He'd worried about the talks he couldn't have, the female perspective he couldn't provide, the gaps in her life that his love alone might not fill. But here was his daughter, 17 years old and already understanding the most important lesson of all. That being human means showing up for each other, even when it's scary, even when it costs us something. She'd taken his years of quiet sacrifice and transformed them into her own act of courage. You know what the craziest part is? Emma said, wiping her eyes with her sleeve. After I donated, they gave me orange juice and cookies in the recovery area. And there was this little boy there, he couldn't have been more than 6, getting a transfusion. His mom was crying happy tears because they'd finally gotten the blood they needed for his surgery. And I just sat there thinking that maybe my blood could help a kid like him. Maybe some parent wouldn't have to watch their child suffer because I spent 20 minutes being brave. Marcus shook his head in wonder, pulling her close again. You are so much more than I ever dreamed you could be. Your mother would be proud. He paused, feeling the familiar ache of her absence. I'm proud. I'm so incredibly proud that you're mine. They sat together in the morning light, father and daughter, surrounded by scattered laundry and yesterday's fears, while somewhere across the city, a child's life was being saved by the gift of a teenage girl who'd learned that love means giving pieces of yourself away. Marcus thought about all the blood, sweat, and tears he'd poured into raising Emma alone, and realized that she'd taken everything he'd tried to teach her about compassion and multiplied it beyond measure. She hadn't just received his love, she'd transformed it into something bigger, something that rippled outward into the world. Next time, he said finally, his voice rough with emotion, next time you want to donate blood or save the world, just tell your old man first. So I don't have a heart attack thinking my little girl is growing up too fast. Emma laughed through her tears. Deal. But Dad, I'm already grown up. You made sure of that. You taught me everything important. Marcus held his daughter and understood, perhaps for the first time, that he hadn't failed at all. He'd succeeded in the only way that truly mattered. He'd raised a human being who knew that love was measured not in what you kept for yourself, but in what you freely gave away.